Hello, welcome back. I'm recording this video right after the last one because I just couldn't leave it as is. I want to encapsulate my weapon data into an object that handles weapon data and all the information I need to know to shoot a weapon. And my player weapon handler is just, it's given up because I have the bullet speed, I have the fire frequency, I have the bullet pooler, which are now separate components that need to track one thing. And I don't like that. Conceptually, I want one all my logic to be in one place. So I'm going to make a new script, but I'm going to make a script and it's going to contain all of the data that I might need to fire weapons. So instead of making it a mono behavior, I'm going to make it this other thing called a scriptable object. And I'm not really going to teach scriptable objects in this video. Hopefully you've watched a different video somewhere by me or someone else explaining what they are and how to use them. And here's just some further demonstration of how to make these data objects useful. So let's call this a weapon scriptable object. Creating it from the writer gives me my create asset menu thing, which is nice. Okay, so what do weapons need? Well, what I'm trying to replace is my configuration data for my player weapon. So I'm actually going to cut that and make a serialized private weapon. And then I will take this and paste those right there. Bullet speed and max fire frequency. And then I will go in and set that to weapon dot. Max fire frequency, weapon dot. But those are private, so we need to make them public. I actually want those to be private, and then I want a public bullet speed in all caps, and the getter will just give us the lowercase version. That should be a float. And then a public max fire frequency, and it will have a getter in this setter, but I only want the getter. And then there's just shorthand way of writing that in C#6, which is just using the ternary operator. Hey, fancy stuff. Okay. Max fire frequency. Is that all caps? Okay. Name my variables the way I want them. And we'll just configure some of this stuff for now. Okay. Next, I'm going to actually move the logic for firing the bullet into the weapon, and I'm going to move the logic for the bullet pooler itself into the weapon. Let's do the bullet pooler first. So we're going to do that. We're not put that there. We're going to put that. What did I do? How much have I copied? Why is that not? Something wasn't right with my copy and my paste. Oh, I need to be in the class. There we go. Cool. So now we need, from the bullet pooler, we need the pool and the game object reference. We need the reference to the collections.generic. We need pre-populable. All right. The scriptable object will not receive the start function. So we need to initialize it before we use it. And we're going to do that by making our own little code to initialize it. That will do whatever we need to initialize. So it'll initialize our list. And it will pool. 6, we can make that a variable. Repopulate pool count. That's a good enough variable name for me. Okay. And then our bullet pool, we can delete it. Oh no, goodbye. And our player class, we can delete our reference to our bullet pool. I'm gonna get rid of our entire wake function. Get rid of that. Ooh, gosh. Okay. Weapon. Create bullet. Nice. Oh, I deleted a script, but I didn't. I should have done that from Unity, so I didn't break everything. I need an actual bullet. I don't have one. So I like to make, for my scriptable objects, I like to make a new folder called game data. Oh, I like to make it one word. And we'll make a new folder called weapons. And in here, we'll make a new, oh my gosh, look in the menu, a new weapon, basic weapon. And then now we can give it the only one there. All right. And if I unlock that and select my basic weapon, I now have all my information I need. I want to pre-populate with 6 bullets. My bullet speed was, should have remembered what those were. And we're good. Look how nice this will be to edit once we have different prefabs and we're making different, that can fire different amounts at different speeds, and we just have a bunch of different weapons. Oh, great. Very nice. That was not the right bullet speed. What broke? How did it work and then stop working? I forgot to initialize my list. So my player weapon handler needs to call the initialization function of the weapon. Super important to do that. Because this scriptable object will not get reset between games, right? So Unity will, when we exit play mode, will destroy all the game objects, but the scriptable objects data, including the list of bullets, won't get reset. So here we're going to make sure we reset it when we enter play mode again. And usually we would write a little bit of on exit play mode code and do some cleanup ourselves, which saves us from our pool, and that saves us from some pain. Okay. Next, I actually want to move my fire methods and my fire logic and my timer. I basically want to move my entire weapon handler to the weapon script, and the weapon handler will actually allow me to switch between what weapon I'm using. And it's going to need that bullet spawn location on the transform. I think that's you don't want to put the scene reference in your scriptable objects. But we'll move the fire timer, because then we're going to need an update tick. We're going to need to pass that along. Depends on how we want to switch weapons. One timer for multiple weapons will, like, if you don't, it's interesting. Let's say you have a weapon that you can only fire every like 5 seconds, right? And you're holding it and it's resetting its timer. You switch to like the shotgun or the machine gun that fires often, resetting the timer. You switch back. Should that other timer continue counting from where it was? And I think the answer is yes. So I think I do want to move the timer into the weapon, and each weapon can hold on to its own weapon timer. Like, that makes sense to me. Because as you switch, if you just like visualize a progress bar of like reloading underneath every single weapon shot, like as you switch between weapons, you should resume your like reload timer. That's how I want this game to work. So we're gonna move all that into the weapon, Okay, this is all messy. I'll clean it up in a bit. We'll use our private method. Doesn't matter. We'll pass in a position into our function. And we'll use our bullet speed variable. Yeah, because this gets used by the input class. That gives it the input. Okay. And this takes it, tells it where to fire, and passes that along to the weapon to do the actual firing. And we will call weapon.tick. I don't like using the word update if it's not actually an event function. So I just always use the word tick to when I have to like regularly update something. And then in start, I think we need to reset fire timer. To reset that, we're resetting that. Everything else is just data, right? So we'll just organize a little bit. Editable immunity. Public access. We're not using these anymore. Goodbye. Private. Okay. So we'll rename that to underscore fire timer. And we'll rename that to not have the underscore because it has been exposed to the editor, and we'll rename that to not have the underscores because it has been exposed to the editor. Okay, who cares? Whatever. Does it still work? Does it still work? Okay. I lost my references when I renamed those variables. All right, let's make a new weapon. And let's call it fast weapon. And we'll change the fire frequency to 0.1 and the bullet speed to 20. And then our player, so has normal basic weapon. We hit play. We do that. But if we give it fast weapon, hit play because we have to go to start to initialize the pool. And now we have a new multiple weapon types. Right? Oh, so good. Right? And then this can be a list of weapons. And we will make a private int of current weapon equal to 0. And then Don't update the time on the ones we're not using, and then and then go next weapon, current weapon index plus plus if current weapon index is greater than weapons dot. No, if it's equal to the length of the array. 0. Switch to next weapon. Switch to previous weapon. We will subtract 1 from the item to cycle through my array that way. And then let's give myself some input. What button should switch into the what? Next button be? Let's make it next weapon, and we'll make it E. I guess. Scroll wheel up? I don't know. Let's try it. Index was outside the bounds of the array. Well, the weapon is empty, so of course it was. We need at least one weapon or the game will break. Let's give ourselves some information. If weapon dot count length is 0, debug dot log error player needs at least one weapon. They'll still break, but at least one of those error messages, the first one will be useful. Nice. So one problem is that this game uses they use their own poolers. So even though they're using the same bullet type, they're actually using different object poolers. And that's probably fine for now. That's probably fine. Cool. And then we can make children of the class that override the, whoops, not this class, of the weapon class that override the fire behavior and can do things like spawn 3 bullets in a shotgun pattern and give them random directions and stuff like that. Boom. Scriptable objects. They're really nice. Not sure this is the pooler, I don't know. It's fine. Right, but now I can start making different bullets. I can make like, the bullet itself can be like a homing beacon, and that can be one of your weapons, and you just have these weapons, right? We can swap out their prefabs, right? Let's do that. Let's just show it. We'll go and we'll change this to bullets, and we'll duplicate that and rename it to smaller bullet. And we'll just go to the bullet visuals from 0.3 to 0.15. Z, why not? It's a 2D game. I don't know. Whatever. That'll be it. Right. And then they'll have a damage property, and we'll change that on the bullet. And then on our fast weapon, we'll change that bullet to smaller bullet. Smaller bullet? What's this? You shouldn't name things with like relative. Oh, that's interesting. You can shoot your own bullets. Yeah, you know, it's kind of fun, right? And I don't have to mess with the player's weapon handler script, right? The player weapon handler tells the weapon to fire, and the weapon, you know, if I want a shotgun, implement that logic in somewhere else in its own place. It'll just work. Laser beams, yeah, sure. Player doesn't care. I mean, for something like a laser, we probably need to start passing in a stop firing button, like is mouse held and release, and have capture all that state and pass all of it along to be handled. But you know, it's fine. Okay, that's it. I'm done. We made our game a little bit better. We haven't actually made it fun or yet, but it's like a little bit better. What does this game need? It needs enemies. You need to shoot stuff. You know, I need to be able to pick up items and have that unlock weapons and drop previous weapons, right? I want to move around and change what weapon I'm using all the time to like best handle the enemies and stuff. Because that's kind of fun. Okay. I also like the idea of like when you pick up a new weapon, it just drops your previous one. You can't switch between them, and we could do that. We don't, you know. I think that's kind of a fun game loop of like, do I like this one? You know, you have to give up something, right? You don't just get it, right? You have to give up your current weapon. There's always a trade-off. But we don't have a good design doc for this game, so whatever. Okay, bye.